Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Wyrock. And in today's episode, we're asking the question, are people a lost cause? This is prompted by a really interesting article I read in the New York Times recently about an Army program called the Future Soldier Preparatory Course. It was started in 2022, and its goal is pretty fascinating. It helps unqualified military recruits become qualified in 90 days. In other words, if you want to join the military, but you're out of shape or academically behind, or you can't meet one of the intake thresholds, you can enter this program. And for 90 days, you're given the opportunity to get in shape or to learn what it is you don't know so that you're able actually to become the kind of person who can join the military. Now, what's interesting about this is that participants in this program actually account for 22% of all incoming soldiers. In other words, this program has been wildly successful in producing people who are fit to serve in the military. In fact, the article that I read focused an example on one guy, Joseph King, who was over the age of 40 and was physically fit but academically behind. It helped him get into the military. There was another guy named Jonathan Gleich who was 70 pounds overweight, but in 90 days had lost the weight as part of this program and was able to become a part of the military. And what's also interesting is that a lot of people who join this program are not so much driven by patriotism, although, of course, I would never question the patriotism of anyone seeking to join the military, but actually by economic hardship. Many of them have been homeless, jobless, and the military provides the structure and income that they are looking for. Now, I find this interesting because you're taking someone who's rejected and finding out if by committing to their progress, can you get them ready in 90 days? And the overwhelming answer is yes. And man, this is such a redemptive program that I think typifies the Bible's view of the potential of people. And that's what I want to talk about. People are not a lost cause. Let me just start with this. Every single person on the planet, regardless of gender or age or ethnicity or cultural background, has God-given potential. Do you know how I know that? Because every person is made in the image of God. Genesis 1:26 and 27 shows us that God has made people, male and female, in his own image, which means part of what it means to be human is that we bear resemblance to God himself, which means in some way we indicate God's talent, his creativity, his intelligence. Every single person has potential. The difficulty, of course, is that you can't realize that potential without discipline. But discipline is not a default setting. It's something that people can learn. It's the end result of investment. Think, for example, of Ephesians 2:1-10. Now, this is about what it means to be born again and what it means to come alive in Christ. But Paul goes through 9 verses of the incredible change the gospel produces in your heart and in mine. And then in verse 10, he says, all of that is to get us ready for the good works that God has for us in Christ. God understands investment and then result. This program is showing that when you pour into people, of course, when they're also committed to being poured into, there's no limit to the change that can actually happen. I also love this program because it reminds me of something that Paul says about God in 1 Corinthians 1:27, when he says that God uses the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. This program says, we're not getting enough people in the military. What can we do? Where should we look for them? Not among the best and the brightest, but among the rejected and the marginalized. Because often what happens in people who are struggling is they simply have not had people around them to cast vision, to care for them. What this program does is say maybe the reason people end up at the lower rung of society is because of other people and what's been done to them. And all of a sudden you get a few coaches, a few people who believe in you, and look what happens. Listen, purpose gives hope. Jeremiah 29:11 is a verse that's often taken out of context. God says to Israel, I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and a future. That is for Israel. It's not for me. Jeremiah 29 isn't about me. But it does drive home this point. God tells them that while they're in exile because he knows what gets people through a hard time is hope. Isn't it amazing what people can accomplish when you're able to put something on the horizon that is worth chasing? In 90 days, a guy lost 70 pounds because somebody said, look with me at where your life can go. Listen, I'm thinking these principles apply to bigger categories than just the military. What if you and I really began to believe that those who are hurting around us, those who are struggling, those who are behind in life are just one person believing in them away from massive life change? Redemptive programs like this are so exciting, and they're a glimpse into, I think, the life and mission that God has for the church and for you and I individually. Find someone to believe in and watch who they can become. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Wake Up, Look Up. If you enjoyed it, please help us get the word out by sharing it with someone you think might benefit from it. And while you're here, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get further content, or even download the CCC app, where you'll find even more resources to help you grow in your faith and relationship with Jesus Christ.